Welcome to Friday Night Pint. Can West Ham beat Man City without Summerville? Well, can West Ham beat Man City at all? Welcome to Friday Night Pint, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we're with the original crew because the argument starters out tonight. How are you?
What did you call him?
The argument starter.
The argument starter. But my camera is still playing up, so...
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Busy as usual, but all good.
Right, how are you, mate?
Sorry, I was just sharing it on like sharing the show on Twitter and X, whatever it's called now, and my phone's really slow tonight. But yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. Had a good week. Turned 42 this week. Had a good few. Yeah, cheers, mate. Had a good few nights out. Well, say nights out. It's not nights out like what people think. I weren't raving. I was up London to see a show and have something to eat with my wife, and then earlier in the week I met up with Kev from the Academy of Football podcast, and I've done his podcast, which was really good. I think it's going out tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So yeah, give that a watch. Big shout out to Kev as well. Good to see him back on the scene. I've always been a big fan of him since his Sex, Drugs and Cold days when they used to do the interviews. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a good week.
Good, mate.
Our birthdays and our 40s are a lot better than the ones we used to spend together in our 20s. I can tell you.
Yeah. Well, I think they're a lot more expensive in my 40s, mate. Trust me. Fucking hell. Going up at London now is just you have a few cocktails and then you find yourself like a few £100 down. But listen, if you enjoy yourself, don't look at your bank balance. Leave that to the next day.
Yeah, it's always best not to. Right, so can West Ham beat Man City without Summerville? Do you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to go out full on and say yes, we can, because I don't think it's a one-man team anymore. No,
do you know what? It's not a one-man team, but Man City is just one of them clubs that we haven't beat them since we beat them at the Etihad in 2015. And I think it's 20 times we've played them. We've had a couple of draws in that time, but they always seem to get the better of us. And Haaland loves scoring against West Ham. I think where he's the most club he's scored against in the Premier League. Look, losing Summerville, he's been our best player for a long time this season, and him missing is a massive blow. But look, I watched them last week against Forest, and Forest gave them a good game. I see the highlights midweek against Real Madrid, and look, City are there for the taking. You know, if you catch them on a bad day, but on their bad day, we still have to be 100% at it, and they're going to be difficult. But can we get a result? Of course we can. A result against City for me would be a point. I think it'd be a brilliant point. But can we beat them? Look, it's 11 against 11. Who wants it more? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's it, mate. They've been so inconsistent this season, you know. But like you said, you fear for us because our record against them is not great. You know, like you said, Haaland's got this great goal scoring record against us. It's very, very difficult for us to get anything out of this game with the way we are historically against City since the new City. You know, the old City is completely different. The new City, you know, and this is the issue, and it's how Nuno approaches this fixture. You know, we're on decent form. You know, when you look at it, you know, the only losses that I think we've had recently is the loss to Liverpool and the loss to Chelsea. You know, the Chelsea performance, we threw it away a bit, but I think with the right approach and the right mentality this time and the right substitutions, we can get something out of this game. Like you said, like Nicky said, we're not a one-man team anymore. You know, we are a team. You see that the other night. You see the response of the lads in the change room afterwards, how much they are together. There doesn't seem to be any bad apples in that dressing room anymore. And that can go a long way with getting results against these big stuff. If you're all pulling in the same direction, all playing for each other, you can find yourself getting a result against these teams. And we need a result tomorrow. We really, really do, because a result tomorrow could potentially get us out of that bottom three. And that's the biggest thing for me. I think if we can get out of there now, we will stay out of there till the end of the season.
I think it's so tough to, like if you want to go toe to toe with him, and like Summerville's that sort of player, like he's a skillful player, he's one that can sort of like, you know, make things happen on his own. But I think the way you're going to get more joy out of him is if you work hard. And that's like with Pablo and Cass, like if you put pressure on them and like, you know, try and bully them and try and, you know, do things that they're not expecting and things that they're not like used to defending against. I think that's the way we're going to get a result. Like, you know, just run your socks off and like work hard and see what happens at the end of the day. Nobody's expecting us to beat them. Nobody like on the planet is expecting us to beat them. But, you know, if you can get them on a bad day, as Ryan said, and, you know, I don't think it's like the types of Summerville that are going to win us games. Obviously, like they're special players and they score goals, but I think it's just the hard work, determination, and just like, you know, playing them at a game that suits us rather than suits them.
Yeah, the thing is, no one would have expected Nottingham Forest to go to the Etihad last week and get a result, and they did. They worked hard, and City are very vulnerable at the back. You know, going forward, you know, Haaland, Semenyo, Silva, Doku, you know, they've got players that can rip us apart. But we've got players that can fucking give them a game as well. You know, when you look at Bowen's form last week, you know, Bowen seems back. You've got Tatty who just runs all day. We've got Pablo back now. You know, whether we're going to start Callum Wilson up top now that Summerville's out, maybe they might push Tatty out to the left. I don't know. I don't know what Nuno's going to do tomorrow. But, yeah, no, look, there's enough there in that team, even without Summerville, for me that I look at that and I think I'm actually looking forward. I never look forward to playing City. I always think we have a 36-game season because I never count City because we just don't get results against them. But I'm actually looking forward to the game tomorrow. We always seem to do well, nighttime games under the lights. So, look, it's one of them games. You know, Tottenham have got Liverpool tomorrow, which is a tough game as well. Forest have got, I can't remember who they've got. I think they're away, aren't they? Can't remember who they got now, but I think that, Palace. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Palace. So if we do lose tomorrow, it's not the end of the world. There's no need to go on a social media meltdown. It's not the end of the world if we lose tomorrow. But if we get a point or even better 3 points, what a time to be alive. West Ham will be at the bottom 3, hopefully.
Yeah, Forest are playing Fulham tomorrow at home.
Fulham. Yeah,
so it's Palace Leeds. So that's another game to keep an eye on because Leeds. I said this back when Leeds fans were getting a bit chirpy when we were down in the doldrums and they thought they were pulling away for it. I said this back then that they're going to be involved in it all the way up to the end of the season, and they're sliding back down very, very slowly. So that's another team that you've got to add into the mix of it all. You know, we play Leeds. I'm sure Forest play Leeds as well. You know, so they've got to be watching over their shoulder. The annoying thing is when you look at all these fixtures, you know, City come off of a 3-0 drubbing from Real Madrid. You know, the key thing for me in that City game is they had no legs in their midfield. If they start that midfield again, we've got to make sure we win that midfield battle. Liverpool, tough game against Galatasaray in the week. You know, could that go in Spurs' favour, especially after they got battered by Atletico and they've probably not got a chance in hell of getting through that tie. You know, will Liverpool look to rest players? You know, this is the thing, and I find with City sometimes it's just worrying with that wounded animal, isn't it? You know, like you said, Haaland's not banging him in up against us, who's good. You know, he's got a good record against, so he's worrying. But like you're right, you're looking forward to this. You know, go way back to the end of January. We would have all been dreading this fixture. We've all been sitting there going, "Oh, this is going to be 6 or 7."
The thing is, Scott, I actually look forward to watching us now. And I've been looking forward to watching us for a long time, for the last few weeks. And I know people say, it's the results, but I find us better to watch now than if you look back 7-8 weeks ago, we were poor. We were lost.
Yep.
You know, a couple of new signings, a little tweak to the formation, a little bit of confidence from the players. And like you said, mate, you see the change room after the game the other day, the togetherness in that team. You know, there's fight there, and we said that when we was in that relegation, but like when we was in the relegation zone before this run of form, we said, look, if we can find something and go down fighting, we'll take that, because as long as they show a little bit of fight, we can think, right, you know what, they give it a try. And now they've given. You're talking about Leeds, Scott. We're 3 points behind them. You know, you go back 6 or 7 weeks ago, we were 11 behind Spurs, we were 7 behind Forest. You know, we've done well to claw it back and give ourselves a chance. So, yeah, the fight's there. And tomorrow night, yeah, let's just go for it.
I think
Man
there
who?
was an
Man
interview with
who?
Suchek this week, and he turned around and said, like, it's a happier place to be now. It can't be easy walking into like a place to work where you got to talk to it and no one's fucking happy. It can't be easy to get going like when it's like that. You know what I mean? Like this, it looked like there was so many fucking negative influences on the changing room, and it's a big part of the game. You've got to be, you've got to be up for it and ready to fucking go to work every day.
Well, any player will tell you there's no better place than a happy dressing room. There's no better place than a happy training ground, and results make that happen. When we're losing week in, week out, it must have been horrible going to work. Everyone's down, no one wants to be there. You're losing, you're playing well, but losing. But now we've found these few results, and yeah, it's a different atmosphere. And look it's a different atmosphere with the fan base as well. Look how different the fan base is now. And that's what we've been crying out for all season. And credit to Nuno as well. He's sort of turned it around. He's getting his stamp on the team now and his stamp on the football club. So look, we just do what we do as football fans, and we just back them. We back them to the end, and now they're starting to show us what we've been. We know they had it. We know we've had the players there, but something weren't clicking. But now. And that's why I go back to that important game in the FA Cup when we beat QPR. That was the turning point in our season, And now since that game, we've gone on a good run. And now we find ourselves in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup with a game home to Leeds, which is winnable, that can see us into the semi-final at Wembley. Tomorrow, a decent result against City can pull us out the bottom three. And things are looking up. But it can all change, So it can get glum again, so we need to be careful.
The thing is though, mate, I think it's the togetherness of the team showing that if you do have a blip, I think they've got the mental strength to recover. You saw it against Liverpool. I said earlier, we got trounced for Liverpool 5-2. I don't think personally that was a 5-2 performance. I don't think it was Liverpool were clinical and they had the luck on their side. And we bounced back from that. Which was the big key thing, is to bounce back when you have these little knockdowns. And I think, like you said, City are possible with putting 5 past us. We know City. We're not silly. We know they've got that type of players, but we also know, as it's shown this season in the league, they do drop off at times. They do switch off at times, and you've got to take your chances. I think for the big key point for us tomorrow is to be clinical. We need to take our chances. We're not going to get many, but when we get them, we've got to make sure we take them. And that's the key point thing. And I think that's how we can beat them. It just be more clinical, carry on being together as we are, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's important, because when you look at the difference between before the January transfer window and people were saying about Paquetá and his quality and all this, but if people don't want to be there, they're resigned to losing, and they don't really, it's not really going to affect them either way. Yep. There's no point in having them characters in the dressing room, because they bring everyone down. Exactly. When there's people there that are going to make mistake after mistake after mistake and still be in the side, like Kilman, because there's no one else to come in. It knocks confidence. There's a couple of players that come in, like Disasi's got a point to prove. There was a lot of question marks about his fitness, but I think he's been excellent, and I think he's been a rock at the back. I think he's brought a bit of stability there. And then Pablo and Tati, although they, on paper they don't score as many goals, but it's just the work rate and the showing that they're willing to fucking put in for the side and and do whatever they can. And that's a lot of the what the players that we sold weren't showing.
Yeah, no, you're right, mate. You're right. And like you said, you've seen now the bad apples being weeded out the dressing room. And that goes to show. There's a certain other team that's down there with us at the minute, and there's a few players there that don't want to be there, and it's showing because their performances are not where they should be, and they're got a lot of issues going on, which has put them in their position where they're in. So it just goes to show you have a bit of camaraderie, you have a bit of togetherness, and it goes a long, long way. Like you said, Paquetá, great player, but when you look at it now, the best thing we did was selling him.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that's the thing about players like teams like Tottenham. They're built to to coast at the top. They ain't built to battle, you know what I mean? And that's what Nuno has done. He's brought in a few battlers, people that are willing to, to scrap for it. And like that could be the difference at the end of the season. And you can see like the makeup of the points since they've been bought, it's been phenomenal.
I agree, mate.
Sorry, go on, mate.
I was gonna say, like, I look at us, I see fighters in the team, I see good players. The same with Forest, I see that. With the other team, Spurs, I don't see that. I don't see anything they've got. Anything. They've got players coming back, but how fit are they going to be? Is it enough time for them to pull themselves out? And I said it weeks ago, I think as soon as they drop into that bottom three, that'll be it for them mentally, I think. I think they'll just see out the season, and I think they will go down.
I know that it's.
I hope you're right.
There's not a lot of people that are going to have still, but I do feel sorry for them a little bit because, we've been in that position. I think it's modern football. There's so many players there that are looking at it thinking, well, it don't really matter really if we have another bad season. They had, a bad one last year, but if they go down, they know they're going to be sold.
Why do you feel sorry?
Probably the easiest exit that they've got to getting out of there.
Why do you feel sorry for him?
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for him.
Well, it's just because we've been in that position. It's what it's like to have players that just want out. Like, they bought Kudus off of us. He didn't want to play for us, and it showed. There's no one willing to fight for your football club, and it's fucking painful to watch every week. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but I do feel. No, I don't actually. I don't feel sorry for him.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
he's come to his senses. Hang on, Scott. We can't see. Is this a Tottenham fan that's just doing Nicky's voice? We can't see him. I think Nicky's been kidnapped, and it's a Spurs fan doing his voice. It sounds like him, but I don't think that is him. Can't be. No one feels sorry for Spurs.
No, actually, yeah, you're right. I don't feel sorry.
Mate, I said this the other day, right? I stood at work today. Stood at work today having a break, right? And with a Chelsea fan and a Palace fan, and every single one of us want Tottenham to go down. I do not know a fan in this country, barring a Spurs fan, that doesn't want to see Tottenham go down. And
wouldn't it just be nice to have 1 year without them?
Oh, wouldn't it be brilliant?
Oh.
Absolutely brilliant. And let's hope so. Let's hope so. As long as we stay up, that's all that matters.
If we stay up, they go down and they get replaced by Millwall. It's perfect, isn't it? Because then we can have our rivalry with Millwall in the Premier League, where everyone wants to see it. If you want to have a rivalry with Millwall, we want to be in the Premier League. So, yeah, they're 3 points off the top now. They're of automatic promotion. So, yeah, bring it on. But look, I know we're having a laugh and all that, but look, there is still a long way to go in this season. There's a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns, and that's why we love football. I know football ain't the greatest to watch at the moment, just in most levels, but you can't, when there's drama and you're involved in it, it gives you that extra edge to watch it and get behind the team. So I'd rather listen, don't get me wrong, I'd rather be FA Cup quarter-final and mid-table and nothing to play for in the league, but relegation battles are exciting. I'd rather be battling for the win the league, but we ain't there. We're battling to stay up, and we're going to fucking do it. Come on, you Irons.
So how many games we've got? We've got 8 games, right?
8 games, yeah.
How many points do you think you need out of that 8 games to make sure, to be totally sure that you're up?
I think we need 4 wins.
4 wins and that's it.
4 wins. The position we're in now, because we're level with Forest, I think 4 wins will be enough. I think if we can find 4 wins, maybe a draw, like a couple of draws. I think definitely 4 wins, though, and we'll stay up.
4 wins puts us on 40 points.
Oh, the magic number.
Yes, the magic number, mate. It's the thing is, right? It's doable, isn't it? It is doable. You're gonna. We've got a couple of teams there that are safe. That are probably going to be, by the time we play them out of the race for Europe, might take their foot off the gas a bit, especially if they've got players who are looking to go to the World Cup. Who don't want to pick up any injuries. So this is the it could be a key thing. This is why it's so important, really, trying to get something out of tomorrow's game.
I just don't want to go down to that last game of the season, Scott, needing something against Leeds. I'd rather go into it on the last game game of the season, 4 points clear of that relegation zone, so we can, you know what, it doesn't matter what happens, we still stay up, whether it's by a point or whether we win on the day. But I don't think my nerves can handle it, especially as we've got an FA Cup final to look forward to. Oh no, the FA Cup final will be the week before, so we could win the FA Cup and then get relegated a week later. We don't want that.
Be another Wigan, mate. Be another Wigan. But so,
I'll probably take that.
Yeah, Irons TV turned around and said they're 3 wins, 3 draws. You know, that's realistic. When you look at the fixtures, you could easily get that. So we got
like 7 out of 9 wins, didn't we, in the Great Escape season?
Yeah,
that's the same as 4 wins, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know, you can get 3 wins, 3 draws. It's the same amount of points. So that's very, very possible. Very possible.
Look, we've got some difficult games still to play. You think we've got Arsenal at home, could be going for the league. You know, that game there against us could seal the title for them. We don't know how it's going to go over the next few weeks. We've got Villa away, which are difficult, but they're falling off a bit. We've still got to play Palace, Everton. You know, Wolves at home ain't going to be easy. Nope. So there are some really difficult games still to play. So we've got to just work hard now until the end of the season. And I do think if we can get 4 points or 3 wins and 3 draws, however you want to look at it, I think that will be enough. Because I can't see Tottenham I can't see them winning 3 games between now and the end of the season. I can't. Yeah,
the way on the form, they're in that situation now. We was in January. You know what I mean? Where you couldn't see a win coming. They are in that situation now, and the thing is, if they don't win another game until April, it could be too little, too late by then.
I mean, their manager's lost the plot. I see his press conference the other day. I was watching it just before I come on here, and he's lost the plot. He's saying about the bottles are half empty, half full, and we're nothing. Like, so he seems like he's trying to talk his way to get in the sack. Sean Dyche has already turned him down, saying he won't go there. You know, it's bad when Sean Dyche turns you down.
Yeah,
but that's it, isn't it? They're panicking.
Yeah.
So as long as we keep on doing what we're doing, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, all we can do is win. At the end of the day, we're sitting here now. We've got to realise that we are still in that relegation zone. So at the end of the day, if the season ended now, we'd be relegated. So we have to just crack on and get what we need and let the other teams fight out themselves.
Exactly. That's it. We've just got to do our thing, and that's it. Do our thing, worry about ourselves, pick up the points we need. If we go down on 40-odd points again, then it was just destined to be, didn't it?
Sorry, I'm just trying to start some comments.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Sing a song or something, Scott.
Give us a rendition of the one and only, Scott.
No. That was literally the one and only time I was going to do it. So,
what? Save yourself there, Scott. What a plug! what a save!
This is the thing, you know. It's mad how our seasons are changing and teams' forms changing. You know, it just goes that form is temporary, isn't it? You know, and I just really hope we can get out of this. Really do, and get to the final of the FA Cup, if not win it.
Yeah. No, look, it's a dream, innit? Like, you imagine, like, it's like I was thinking about it the other night, and me and Kevin was talking about on the podcast that, you know, you think 20 years on since we lost to Liverpool, West Ham versus Liverpool, FA Cup final at Wembley, revenge. You know, how sweet would that be? But it's going to be difficult. Look, Leeds will be difficult. They're going to have a huge crowd there. They'll bring 9,000. You know, they're a great fan base who will fucking be singing non-stop at the London Stadium. You know, so and it's a big opportunity for them as well, as it is for us. It is for them. You know, they would have probably been happy with a draw. You know, so I mean, they probably would have rather been at Ellen Road, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. They've got to come to us. You know, but if we win that, it's an opportunity for us to go to Wembley, which I hate, still don't agree with. Semi-final should never be at Wembley. Takes the magic out of the FA Cup for me. But to go to Wembley and play whoever, it don't matter who it is, because either City or Liverpool is going to be knocked out because they're playing each other. Obviously, Chelsea and Arsenal avoided each other. Funny enough, they got Port Vale and Southampton. So, but But yeah, no, look, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is, mate. And I much prefer, mad I'm saying this, I much prefer playing Leeds at the London Stadium than I do at Ellen Road.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
100%.
Yeah, I think it's a different kettle of fish at Ellen Road. Let me just take some comments from the chat. I think the most important thing that is we don't take a hiding and have a dent in confidence. Give them a game. If we lose 2-1, so be it. We go again. Yeah, I think. Listen, when you're playing City, it's like anything could happen. You could, like, you see last week Forest squeezed a draw, but you can easily get battered by them. You know what I mean? If they're on form and they're, they do everything right, which they're fucking capable of. You can easily. We just can't take it personally. I think last week against Liverpool, the 5-2 game, we didn't take too much, too much disheart out of it. When we got beat 5-2, we dusted us, and that's what we got to do. We've got to make sure nothing knocks our confidence. But as long as they fight and they give everything they can, and they do everything they can, do you know what? I can see us getting a result tomorrow. I can see us getting something out of the game. So, yeah. But yeah, as long as they don't take any sort of like a knock of confidence, if they do get smashed up, it is what it is. We can use the City game as an opportunity to have a go, as they are the ones under pressure with the title race. And even if we lose, it won't define the season. So 4-4-2. Do you think the midweek results going to have any sort of effect on how they come out? Are they going to be the wounded animal? Are they going to think to themselves, well, that's the Champions League out of the way, so now we have to concentrate on the league? What sort of effect do you think it will have?
No, I mean, look, it's only half time in that game. They lost 3-0, but they can turn that around at the Etihad. So what do they think? Do we maybe rest a couple of people again? But then they're going for the league, isn't they? They've got to make up points on Arsenal. So they've got to go as strong as they can tomorrow. So I think whatever team City put out tomorrow is going to be a difficult team. But I think they will definitely have one eye on that Champions League game as well, because it's not over. They can turn it around, especially at the Etihad.
Mate, I think you're right. I don't think that ties over. City could easily put 4 past Madrid. They didn't show it there, but at home they can potentially do it. Like you said, their squad hasn't got the depth that it had before. They haven't got the big name, match winning players like they used to have, but they've still got a lot of quality there. And I think even if they do rotate, it will still be a pretty decent squad. Personally, I don't think they've got a chance to rotate. I think they've got players that need to get minutes, that need to find their form again going into this run-in. And if they want any chance of catching Arsenal, they've got to hope that Arsenal slip up and win the game. So I fully expect them to go as strong as they possibly can, and still with that Champions League game. But the thing is, for us, if we can go into the last half an hour in the game, if not in front, their confidence might not be where it is, and that they may have that game then in the back of their mind. You know what I mean? We've got to make sure we're in the game the whole time.
They're definitely not the unbeatable Man City that they were a couple of years back. Right? There is, there's parts of that team that have got vulnerabilities, and we've got to, as long as we work as hard as we can. As I said before, everything's possible, but. Yeah, I think this comment is it. We cannot sit back and respect them like we have done. Go at them and let them respect us. Haaland, Disasi, and Dinos. And I think that's what we have done over the last few years against a few. And I even think we've done that against Liverpool. Is we go into the game and we're scared of them.
Yep. 100%. We done that Liverpool when we played Liverpool at home. They were on the worst run of form they've ever had in the Premier League, and we go and show them far too much respect. We've got to set about them a bit. We've got to be pressing, from the front like we have been doing in recent weeks with Tati and Pablo. We've got to do that and use the strengths in that. Cause them problems, because like we were saying, the mistakes that they've made. The keeper made mistakes in the week. They're going to have that. It's going to be in their head. It's going to be playing on their minds, and we've got to make it as uncomfortable as possible. We can't go there and show them respect.
No,
we can't afford to do that.
It's a huge test for our back four as well, isn't it? See how far they've come, especially like Disasi. I mean, he's been unbelievable since he's come in, and tomorrow he's got to face up against Haaland, and so has Mavropanos, and then you've got Semenyo as well, and Silva and Doku, whoever they start. It's so Wan-Bissaka and Diouf as well. They're going to have a difficult game, so it's a good test for that back four.
Yeah. Quick super chat. Thank you. £5 from another run on 1469. Thank you very much. Thank you to Nicky for interviewing my young lad Roscoe on Monday night. Nearly missed the last train, but it was made up, Ollie. No problem, mate, at all. No problem at all. Thank you for the super chat. Just quickly then, just before we move on, there's an article come out today saying Karen Brady, who was apparently a couple of weeks ago on her way out, but she's still there. She took one of them sort of fan forum things the other day with the meeting. She says, West Ham Vice Chairman Karen Brady has told fans there are plans to replace David Sullivan as the club's director of football, even if they are relegated from the Premier League. So it looks like no matter what happens, he's going to be stepping away. Now, is that just nonsense? Because they've got to start selling season tickets now, and there's been protests. What's the thinking behind that, do you think?
What did she say? He's stepping away as the director of football.
So when Stivant left, he took over as director of football, so he's responsible for all the signings and all of that sort of stuff. But she says that they're going to go back down the route of appointing a new director of football. So whatever happens, David Sullivan is no longer going to be the director of football.
He'll still be owner of the club, though, won't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, if they're looking to appoint a new director of football, then to be honest, I didn't even know David Sullivan was the director of football there.
Oh, yeah. I think he's been. Yeah.
I know he's been involved. I know Brady. I know Brady was involved in some of the deals in January. She was put in charge of sealing a couple of the deals. So, I don't really know, mate. It's who are they going to get in? I mean, the last one, Tim Stuyton, was, you thought he was doing well. He brought in some good players, but it didn't work out for him. So, I don't really know. It's probably, you're right. It could be to sell season tickets, whatever league we're in. I haven't really seen the minutes from the meeting that they've done. I think some of them no disrespect to the people that go there, but some of them only go there for the sandwiches and the crisps. And to say they've been at these meetings. So it's a bit difficult because I don't think some of them challenge Brady like they should. But look, fair play to them for going. But I don't really take
a couple of the subjects, and there was one interesting one. It says they're going to, that wall that goes up away fans to home fans in what block is it? 139, 117?
Yeah, no,
113, yeah.
113,
113, yeah. So they're going to replace that with a perspex wall.
Fair enough.
I don't know why they need a wall at all. I've never seen a wall in another away ground, but they're going to replace it with a perspex wall and see if it makes a difference. But I was reading through it and there was nothing that really stood out, but that was the one thing that stood out. So he's going to step down as director of football. Do you think?
But he's going to step down as director of football, but he still has the final say in it anyway. So this is the thing. It's just lip service as per usual. That that he's going to step away from. But hang on a minute, he's the one that makes the final decision no matter what anyway. So technically, he's not stepping away for it. He's just putting another patsy in place. That when it comes down to it, and this patsy turns around and says, "I want this player," he goes, "No, I don't like him, but Salthouse got this player. We're going to sign him instead."
Well, do you know what I think?
Repeat.
That the club is been so badly run over the years. He knows he has to sell players, and I think it's a way of trying to deflect the blame.
Yeah.
So someone comes in, and then all of a sudden, you absolutely know one of Summerville or Fernandez is going to go because we need the money. So he's going to bring someone in so it doesn't look like he's the one that sold it and he's the one that it's going to look like this guy's come in and he's decided to sell this and sell that and, put emphasis on signing younger players or, develop players from the. But, I think it's a blame deflection. He knows that there's so much pressure on him at the moment. And I think he knows that they're fucked up so much with the finances that, people are just going to go fucking ballistic if he's going to be the one that has to sign off either Summerville or Fernandez or probably both of them being sold to balance the books. You know, people are going to go absolutely guarantee him.
I think if we start, mate, I think both of them players are still at this club next season.
I think you have to.
Yeah, you can't. You look at Fernandez now and how influential he is in the play in the midfield since he's been able to give him more freedom since Paquetá's gone. You can't be taking that type of player out of your team. You know, Fernandez for me is the player that's not replaceable in this squad because he's the one slowly but surely making everything tick. He is the one who's picking the passes. He's the one who's wanting the ball, who's showing for the ball the whole time. He is the drive in the midfield. And to lose him, and to sell him would be the biggest mistake ever made at our football club in recent history.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Unless a ridiculous offer comes in for him, like I'm talking like north of 80 million, like 100 million, then the club can't turn that down. We know that. But I agree, mate. I think he stays. I think we have to keep Summerville, Bowen. We have to keep these players because if not, we're just going to find ourselves in the same situation, if not worse. You know, you can't lose them sort of players. You know, it's going to be tough. We might not be able to sign anyone, but if we go into next season with what we've got, with a few other youngsters coming through and maybe a couple of players that we get on the cheap or on the free, we will have to sell a couple of players, but as long as we keep that, then we've got the foundations there for a team that can go and challenge to try to get in that top 10.
Yeah, the thing is as well is we offload some of the dead wood, Cornet, Ward-Prowse. We get these off of the wage, that's the huge savings. Kilman, send him packing, take a loss on the transfer fee just to get his wages off the books. That all will generate a bit of income, but it also reduces the wage cost, which gives us more money to play with at the start of the season. So, you've got dead wood in there that you can get rid of, that you can then still keep the better players. And like you said, you've still got youngsters come through. Kante stepped in the other night. He's getting better and improving and getting more opportunities. That's the key thing is now we've got this good crop of youngsters. We've got to carry on using them and using them the right way. And we've done well. We've used Potsy well. We forget Fernandez is still one of them youngsters. Granted, he's not one of ours, but he's younger. Magassa's still trying to sort of cut his teeth in the Premier League and improve his game. You've got the striker that we've just tied down to a new deal who seems to be doing well. I think it begins with an A. I can't think, but they've signed him down. There's a lot of like prospect around him. So you've got that experience with the players like Callum Wilson and players in that around the squad. Then you've got the work rate that you're seeing from a Pablos, your Tatties. Now, start bidding some more youngsters in. Start bringing some more youngsters through because they're going to be key next season, no matter what league we're in. We're in the Premier League, they're going to be key. We're in the Championship, they're going to be even more key. And so we've got to do that. As I said, there's enough dead wood there to shift on.
But I think that's got to be the model going forward, like to start to trust these youngsters and to bed them in properly. Yeah. Because we're too quick to chuck a youngster in, he makes a few mistakes, and then we dismiss him, and then we go and buy some old geezer for 25 million quid that's got a season or two in them, like with no future. And then look at the players we've let go. Like I know they haven't quite made it, but there's a couple there that I think we could have developed into good players, and they was highly rated. And when you look at the West Ham under 18s or under 21s that won that cup, and then they played that Arsenal team. There's a couple of Arsenal players that was in that team that are now playing for England. Mm-hmm. So it just shows you like how little chances we've actually given to the youngsters, and like how quick we are to dismiss them to give some old has-been a couple of more seasons. Who we might get a couple of decent seasons out of him, and then there's no future. So, I think that's the way forward. Like the people like Kante, we need to, give them chances and develop them and, become that club that gives youngsters a platform and a chance to show what they're worth.
Well, that's it, mate. Go back to being the club that we used to be when we give youngsters the opportunity.
Yeah. There's too much money just been, chucked around and too many contracts, big contracts and big money paid for, has-beens that are just here to, to sort of wind down the career.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
You look at the midfield that we started with on the first, I think it's Ward-Prowse, Souček, and Was it Rodriguez?
Rodriguez.
Yeah. Look at that midfield to the midfield we've got now. Like, I know Magassa, I'm not that impressed with him, but I was really impressed with Kante. Then you've got Fernandez, who's 21 years old. We had Popsy in there this season. And it's not a coincidence that, like, once we started playing them boys, it improved.
Yeah. And you've put legs around Souček.
Yeah.
Souček is, again, another key player. As he does, he gets a lot of hate and thingy, but how many times has he got us out of a hole? And just like we said, you can play a Souček in your midfield so long as you put the right players around him. And having a Rodriguez, Souček, Ward-Prowse, or having an Irvine and all that, that's where we went wrong.
I mean, them midfield performances for like the first few, they give me nightmares thinking about them now. Like the way that we've just cut open.
Yep. Yeah.
Scary, but yeah, there we go. But yeah, I think that's what we've got to concentrate on: getting the youth in, bleeding the youth in, and actually giving some of these some game time. Because like, there's a couple of them out there that I think can definitely do better than the likes of Rodriguez. Like, what's the point of buying someone like him when you've got a youngster that can do a job just as good as him?
Yeah, exactly, mate. And that's the thing. You've got to trust the youngsters.
You've got the other youngster as well that we signed. Is it La Madrid? Is it? And he looks like a decent player. He's obviously not up to scratch with English football yet, but given a chance next season, he could be one that explodes onto the scene and improves our team. So, yeah, Kante, you talk about him. Like, I was very impressed with him. Like, when I look at him, the way the plays and just I'm not comparing him yet to him, but he reminds me a lot of Yaya Toure, just the way he glides around the pitch. He's built. But then someone said the other day he's like a young Czech Quixote. And when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, he is. Yeah. So he's going to be an important player over the next couple of seasons. So that's the one thing that I think that if we did go down, I won't be worried that much because we've got good youth there that I think could tear it up in the Championship. Yeah. As much as I think they can cut it in the Premier League, I think they can tear it up in the Championship as well. So if we did go down, I think that there's enough there to get us back up.
Yeah, I do as well, mate, because you're going to... The amount of games in the Championship and all that, you're going to need the youth players even more, and to thick out the squad, so to speak. And it gives them opportunities. I think that's why it's a big key thing to signing Wilson down to another year, because no matter what league we're in, he will benefit the team. He will benefit the youngsters around him as well because of the experience he's got and the quality of finishing that he possesses.
Yeah. Joe the Hammer says Rodriguez might have also done better with better players in the middle with him. Never kicked off about not playing, not heard a bad word, come on and wish him well. Yeah, listen, I don't, I'm not questioning his professionalism. I'm not saying that he was here like, dossing around and all that, but he just wasn't fitting. Like the midfield that he was playing with, the jobs that he can do just, didn't fit our style of play. So, just wasn't the right time.
I get that point. Like, if he would have been in that midfield with the players we've got now, he might have been a standout player. He might have performed better. I mean, and I agree, Rodriguez, I think he was a great professional. He was trained every day, sat on the bench. When he come on, he done a job. So he never, as Joe said there, he never moaned, he never kicked off. And that's the sort of players you want at the football club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I said. I remember watching one of the games where he's on the bench and you see a player warming up, or you see a player getting ready to come on, and he's there talking to him, geeing him up. He's a professional. He was a decent professional, unlike other players who would just sit there and sulk and do their thing that way. That causes a bad atmosphere. He was probably one of those that didn't really do that. And that's sometimes, as I said, you need players like that in the dressing room.
But at that age, it's always going to be hard for a player like that to to get up to speed and hit the ground running in the Premier League. Takes players a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. A lot younger players as well.
Do you know what? Can I just say, just going off topic, I can't stop watching them 5 penalties from the other night.
They might be the best 5 penalties I've ever seen.
How good were them penalties? Oh, little Dino Mavropanos slipping it in the top corner there. They kept that quiet. Apparently, he's one of the best penalty takers at the club. When they interviewed Bowen the other day after the game, they said, yeah, he does it all the time. And then you got little Tommy Souček, Bowen whipping it in, Tatty smashing it in off the other side of the bar. What about the Panenka, Scott? Do you think Areola should have headed it just to mug him off even more?
What I mean? That's got to be one of the worst penalties I've ever seen in my life. That one, mate.
It's down that end because do you remember when the Fulham player Lookman done it?
Yep.
And Fabianski stood up and caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, them penalties were brilliant. I keep watching them.
But that's what you should be doing. Them Panenkas, mate. I don't know why any player would ever try that. You've got one chance to score a goal.
It's got to come off.
Yeah, but
it comes
what
off.
does it do? Even if you mug them off, right? Like, what the fuck does it do? Like, just fucking hit it as hard as you can and hope it goes past the keeper.
Right? Yeah, and that's what we've done. All 5 penalties were brilliant.
Yeah, quality.
It worked. It worked for Dixie. You know, Dixie's thing. He just used to smash it.
Like, yeah, it reminded me of just watching Julian Dix take a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Noble was the same. Ray Stewart was the same.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, no, it was brilliant. I watched someone put just before I come on here. I was flicking on Twitter and someone put the penalties up, and I was just watching them again. Like, brilliant. It was good. It was good. Good night. Good game of cup football. That was.
Yeah.
Very, very, mate.
What was going to say? Oh, there's someone brought something up to me earlier. I just want to get your opinion on it. West Ham under 21s are in the final on Tuesday, I believe it is, at Boreham Wood. They've chosen the people that got the tickets. So there was a lot of applications for tickets. So season ticket holders got put into a ballot. There was no point system. So it was never like based on the last games you went to. They just put everyone in a ballot and picked them out at random. Do you think that's fair?
Where it's at Boreham Wood, isn't it?
Boreham Wood, yeah. It's only a tiny ground.
No, I've seen a couple of people saying this on social media. And yeah, it's unfair because some people have travelled all over to watch the under 21s, like on a Wednesday night, you know, in a random part of the world, like in England, and yeah, they're following them all over. And some of them haven't got tickets to the final. So yeah, I do feel a bit sorry for them. It should have been like if you've attended any of the games before, you'd have had priority over people getting them. So yeah, I do feel a bit.
Big Dave has been to every round, and he got put into the ballot, and he didn't get picked. And you know, there's people like scrounging for tickets now, like you're never going to get one, basically.
So what is it completely sold out at Boreham Wood then?
Yeah.
The thing for me is that's bang out of order because, like you said, they should have done it. That if you had attended the previous games, you should have got priority over everybody else. But also to have it at a club like Boreham Wood, you know, you've got a club like ours that has always followed well. Look, we haven't been to any of the under 21 games, so I'm not going to sit here and say that we have or anything like that. But there's been a staunch following of going there, watching them in them fixtures, right? But you know, when a club like ours, the youth team, get to a final, we will sell tickets, right? And there's many other lower league clubs where you could have held this game and got a better crowd than Boreham Wood. And that's no disrespect.
We went to the Emirates, Scott, the other year for the under 18s, and like we could have sold out the Emirates.
Exactly.
You know, we sold out that whole bottom half, you know, and there could have been more there. Yeah. So, and look, I'm not going to sit there and say I went to every game in that cup run for the under 18s because I didn't. But you got to the final, teams in the final, you go over there and support them. So yeah, you're right. They could have played it at Leighton Orient's ground. You know, they could have played it at any lower league club that, you know, has got a good capacity. Yes, I do feel sorry for people that are obviously travelled and watched the under 21s this season and not be able to go to the final. I think it's poor from the club. They should look after these people.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Totally agree, mate.
Yeah, I think they should put some sort of loyalty program in place, especially if you're going to watch the kids and all that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, it's not something that everyone gets to do. I don't do it that often. I know you two have never done it that often. So yeah, so these people going on training.
I think one of the rounds, because I'm sure I remember Ian going. I think they went to Torquay or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like a fucking, what's that, like a 6-hour road trip, isn't it?
The semi-final was, I can't remember who it was now, but it was well up north. Yeah, it was a long old fucking drive.
Also, didn't we take a good following didn't we play Colchester
Yeah.
We took a good following there, and it just goes to show, I just think these when they have these opportunities, look, we're always criticising our clubs fleece the fans and things like that, but I would imagine the ticket prices are not too crazy for that game, but it's an opportunity for a lower league club to get a bit of money through the door. West Ham could probably take, for an under-21 game, for a final of an under-21 game, more fans than some of these lower league clubs get all season.
Scott, they're £165 each, them tickets.
What the final tickets?
I'm joking.
No, they're 265.
They're probably about 15, 20 quid, something like that. But yeah, no, I do feel sorry for the people that obviously didn't get a ticket.
Yeah.
I did have something else to bring up, but I can't remember what it was now. So, yeah. No, completely gone. Let's get some predictions for tomorrow then. Tough game, 8 o'clock.
Oh, someone just, hang on, 2 seconds. Hawaiian Hammers just said, I think it was wrong that the tickets were free. So they were free, the tickets. I'm sure genuine applicants were paid 10 quid. So yeah, it'd have been nice for Boreham Wood to earn a bit of money, but I didn't realise they was free.
If there was free, then that means anyone's going to apply, aren't they?
Yeah. And then some of these people who might have got a ticket might not even bother going.
Yeah. What's it? It's Paddy's Day Tuesday, isn't it? Oh no, that's Thursday.
Is it Thursday or Tuesday? No, you sure?
No,
I'm sure it's Tuesday.
Oh yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah. I think it's a bit. Yeah, I think that's well out of order. They should always put a little price on them just to stop the people that don't really want to go from applying for them. So, yeah. Let's get some predictions then before we start wrapping up. Tomorrow. How do we line up, Scotty?
It's a tough one with Summerville out. It really is. For me, you don't want to tinker too much, do you? This is the problem. I think you've got to start Chiore just because there's no one else really to play out on that side. He hasn't pulled up any trees. His performances have been okay, but as Dan keeps alluding to, he does run about a bit and he has got a bit of pace about him, so he will cause him problems. I'd rather see that than sort of go for a 5 at the back or try and play Diouf left wing and have Skulls behind him. So, yeah, I think if we look at the system-wise, you probably go for a like-for-like, so you bring Chiore in for Summerville. Other than that, I think the back four picks itself. Sorry, mate?
Would you keep Kante in?
Not for this one.
No?
No, not for this one. I'll go back to what we had for the league fixture.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pablo's back now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he comes in. Summerville being out, do you go like for like with Traore? Is he fit, Traore? Because I heard that he might be out for this game. So I don't know if he might be. I haven't seen the press conference. So yeah, he could just chuck him in as a replacement, or he could just change it up a little bit. The back four, as Scott says, picks itself. Hermansen will go back in goal. So
I think if Traore's not fit, I think he may go for a back 5.
Yeah, maybe bring Tadibo in to play alongside Mavropanos and Disassi just to shore it up at the back, and then Wan-Bissaka and Diouf up and down. Does he start Callum Wilson? Maybe put Tatty out on the left. I don't know. It's going to be weird. I'm looking forward to seeing that team sheet come out tomorrow. I hope we just don't go too defensive.
Do you know what? Yeah. I would be tempted to go 5 wing backs. I put Bowen and Tatty up front, and I played Pablo just behind.
So who's your midfield too?
Souček
and Fernandez.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah,
could work. You don't need Souček dropping into as a third centre half because you've got the 3 there. Wan-Bissaka and Diouf are both capable of playing a wing back system. Pablo's going to be full of running as well. So you've got 3 players in attacking positions who are going to harry the defenders. So that could work.
I think Bowen's going to be in a different mood tomorrow as well. I think that's going to do him the world of good in the middle of the week.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting tomorrow. But look, prediction for the score. Do you know what? I think City just might edge it. I think City might say, I could see like 3-2. You know, I can see us giving them a good game, but I just think City are just gonna take their chances and we won't. I hope I'm wrong. Of course I do.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to have a lot of luck tomorrow. But
yeah, I can just see City taking it 3-2.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you're sitting there, you're letting your head rule your heart, because your heart's telling you the way we've been that we're going to win this one. But you know City, you know Haaland. Yeah, I think personally, at best we get a draw, which I'll be happy with. But I'm with you. I can see them nicking it late. I really can. So.
Yeah, I can see it being one of them games, Scott, where our hearts get broken, where we could be like find ourselves 2-0 up, and then they just pull it back, and a bit like what Chelsea did.
Chelsea did.
So but look, as long as we give them a good game, look, don't get me wrong, I'll take a point now, you know, all day long, and I'd love to see us beat City, but I'm just thinking that they've got. I know we're trying to get out of the bottom three, and we've got something to play for, but I just think in their mind they've got to play us. They've got Arsenal coming up. You know, they've got to make up these points if they want to win the league. I can just see him nicking it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to let my heart rule my head. I'm going to say 2-1, and we get a last-minute winner. But it's one of them really, dogged games where, there's chances missed either end, and I'm going to say we win 2-1.
Well, I hope you're right, mate. Out of the three of us.
Yeah, but I'm going to eat my words tomorrow when we lost 5-0.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like that's the West Ham that we know this season. We know that we can nick a result, get a win, but then we know we can get battered as well. Yeah. So it's what West Ham turn up and what mood we're in and what mood City are in. So Pep's never lost against us apart from in the cup, but in the league, we so yeah, it's look, it has to end sometime. So hopefully it's tomorrow.
Yeah, if we do that though, there'll be a lot of Arsenal fans in the chat thanking us. But yeah, that's a punishment I'm willing to take. To be honest, we need the points. I don't care what happens at the top of the league. But there we go. Thank you very much. Check out okjerseys.com up there. Use Nicky10 for a 10% discount. Check out all the fan cams tomorrow. It's a late one tomorrow, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens at the London Stadium after the last couple of weeks. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. One thing left for us to say. I am crossing my arms, I promise. Come on.